Predestination. Is it really true that our lives are predestined before we're born? And how does predestination coincide with free will? Seems like the tree would begin to branch off, wouldn't it? But what about predestination? What is it? When we talk about predestination, well, what is it? Now, there are a lot of different faiths in the world that have, well, I guess, a doctrine to predestination. It's controversial in Christian theology, although it is a doctrine of the theology of Christianity. And it's the divine foreordaining of all that will happen. Especially with regard to the salvation of some and not others. It has been particularly associated with the teachings of St. Augustine and Calvin. Foreordaining of all that will happen. Well, interesting. So here's the question for this program. And I hope that we all can discuss this because it affects us all of us. There's not one here that is an exemption or an exception. We'll talk more about that. So free will versus predestination. Which is true and which is not? Can both coexist? And if so, how so? Don't know. It's been asked, why pray if everything is already predestined? Good question. Wouldn't that then imply that you would be praying against God's will? I mean, if it's been predestined, how would God change his mind? And if God changed his mind, boy, that gets into a real sticky one, doesn't it? Because if there's one exemption to a law, it means there's exemption to all the laws. And if you begin to have exemptions to any laws, then may I contend and say you have no laws at all. Is our lives, on the other hand, left to simply random choice? Is it because you may be born in a country that is different than another country that your life sets off into a course, predestined? Or is it just a matter of fact that if you happen to be born in, let's say, the country like the United States, and your life has a whole different path, predestined, free will, or just chance? It has been argued that before you were born or had done anything good or bad, God decided whether to save you or not. I mean, seriously. When you begin to talk about predestination, that your life has already been written out, and death is the only conclusion out of it. I don't know about you, but that sucks. Predestination and foreknowledge. So if you have foreknowledge, does that mean you can predetermine an outcome? I mean, seriously. By the way, great book. I would suggest that you get it. Because when we talk about predetermining something, isn't that prophecy? Or is that foreknowledge? And if it's foreknowledge, does that mean it's certain? Because when you talk about prophecy, for the most part, it's synonymous with doom and gloom and death. Right? Now, of course, you can go to the fortune teller, and as I tell them, well, tell us our past, and we'll let you know if we'll let you tell our future. So when we talk about prophecy, boy, oh boy, oh boy, you know, this one thing has separated more people. I'll tell you. But every religion has its own revelation, its own apocalypse. Whether it's Christian, Jewish, Islam, Inca, Mayan. I mean, we all remember this, right? 2012. Good Lord. Thought that the world was coming to an end. How much money was made off that? Pope Pius X probably had it right, didn't he? When he said, this Christianity, how profitable it is. So, we talk about predestination and the election, right? Not the one that just happened here in the United States and the one that's coming up in other countries. No, this is talking about election, getting to heaven, getting your card into heaven. I'll tell you how it makes me feel. It makes me feel, after studying it for nearly 5 decades, I can say that I have a certain point of view. And quite frankly, I don't think it's scriptural, don't even think it's biblical. Now, you can argue with me on that. You can talk about bloodlines, family lines, and I would say bring the argument on, because there's a different point of view on that one that would merely validate the point if I'm talking about. And what I'm talking about is that it makes it sound elitist. So I thought, well, what do the Muslims believe? I mean, if we got the subject of predestination, right? I mean, that is the whole point. We are all members of the human race, right? So I wanted to know how Muslims believe. Well, come to find out, it's not all that dissimilar to Christianity. I mean, really, it's not. Has a lot of parallels to it. So let's take the biblical view, right? So the biblical view is that when you're born, you have your life, and then you got eternity, right? So God's predestiny for all humankind is to be conformed to the image of Christ. Free will means not everyone will choose this. Okay, I can dig that. Those who choose to become like Christ, conform to his image, they receive the inheritance, and to those who don't, they don't receive the inheritance. Okay. I don't see in any of this, by the way, hell, right? But can't keep it that way, can we? Because humanism has come into the Christian faith. Listen, speak what you want, but it's a fact. So let's take a different view. Now, the Calvinist view was this: God has pre-selected some to be chosen. That's so messed up, even in the concept and the construct. It's offensive to me to say that the deity is going to choose others. You see, I think that's the problem with religion. You see, it sets you in your camp because it means that, hey, if you ain't in our camp, well, you're just doomed. And this is what's happened. You can see it. The chosen are predestined to be saved. All right, so those who stay with that thought, keep it, because I got some challenges for you. And then in the end, you go to heaven or hell. So that's the different views of Calvinism and what most think is more of a biblical view. Here are the scriptures that they bring out on this. For those God foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed. Well, you know what? We can get a lot of that. But the fact is, they ain't buying it. Again, words. We are using words in the 21st century that are trying to represent words that were written well over 2,000 years ago. Yeah, so don't be telling me. So let's have to get into all this, right? I mean, good Lord, what a mess. Well, here's kind of the step, you kind of got the Augustine and yeah. That's the thing what I don't like about religion. It's so complicated. And then everyone suddenly becomes the crusader. And then they become the crusader, they take on the Messiah complex. And the next thing you know, they're standing and shouting to everyone they've got the only answer and they've got the only correct interpretation because they've heard from God and God told them to go. Give me a break. As Archie Bunker used to say, stuff it. So, another thought right here. God foreordains whatsoever cometh to pass. The future of each human being is marked off in God's eternal plan. This particular aspect of predestination is fraught with perplexities. Yeah, it is. All of which, it may be believed, are due to the restrictions that encompass the human mind. Well, if you're going to take that position, that, the human mind, woo, boy, I'm going to have fun with you on that one. All right, so here we go. 2 chapters, 4 verses, and here we go. So you have a sect, and that's what it is, sect. Listen, when you think about Christianity, it's a fractured religion. Yes, a fractured religion. You don't have 3,000 different denominations under the guise of serving the same God. If you're going to try to tell me you got 3,000 different interpretations, well, you're not serving the same God. Okay. I'm sure you're going to come back on that one. But explain to me why and I think worldwide, last count through the World Council of Churches, I think over 28,000 different sects of Christianity, Christendom, whatever it's becoming. Yeah. So, again, looking at our Muslim friends and seeing how they see it, again, a lot of correlations. So here's what it comes down to. Predestination contradicts God's word, and here's why. And this is just my opinion. I'm entitled to my opinion and to my belief, and trust me, you don't need to convert me to yours. You have yours and be happy with it. But as you can see, if predestination is true, then you are either predestined to go to heaven or go to or not. Now, if you say you can change that nothing's written in stone, well, then you've just invalidated your argument. And assuming that you are predestined to go to heaven, then you can sin all you want. Now, I know that the standard rebuttal to that is that, well, no, if you truly are conformed to the image of Christ and being molded and conformed to God's will, you won't sin. Then stop lying. Yeah. We all lie. And if you say you don't lie, you're a liar. And you will still go to heaven. And assuming that you are predestined not to go to heaven, then does it really matter? You can sin all you want because you've already been sealed. That sucks. And then people say, well, I'm going to take the Jewish point of view. Well, not so fast there, cowboy. Back down off that little pony of yours and just get your bad self back there in the corral. Because you don't know what you're talking about. The fact is, there's many things in the Hebrew language that not even the Jews remember. So that kind of invalidates that. So which is it? Free will or predestination? Tell me what you think. Love to read it. And remember, be kind to one another. All right, bye-bye.